Daniel had always believed that real life did not work the way stories claimed. People talked about sudden connections, about knowing something important in a single moment, but he thought that was just memory playing tricks. He believed feelings grew slowly, like habits formed over time. That belief stayed with him until one quiet evening in Seattle. Now, when the rain fell gently and proved him wrong, it was a Thursday, the kind that felt heavier than it should. Daniel left his apartment to escape the silence inside it. He walked without purpose until he reached a small bookstore cafe near Pine Street, a place he had passed many times but never entered. The windows were fogged from warmth inside, and the soft yellow lights made the place feel calm. He stepped in, ordered coffee, and stood near the back. Scrolling through his phone while waiting, that was when he noticed her. She sat alone by the window, holding a book that was clearly no longer being read. Her eyes were fixed on the street outside, watching people hurry through the rain. She looked peaceful and distant at the same time, as if her body was there but her thoughts were somewhere else. Daniel did not know why he looked twice. She was not doing anything unusual. Yet something about her stillness caught him in a way he did not expect. Her name was Emily Carter, though he did not know it yet. Daniel felt a strange pressure in his chest. Not excitement, not fear, but recognition. It was as if he had seen this moment before in a dream he could not remember clearly. He told himself to look away. He reminded himself that people imagined meaning where none existed. Still, his eyes returned to her without permission. Emily shifted in her seat, sensing she was being watched. Their eyes met for a brief second. No smile, no signal. Just a quiet exchange that felt louder than words. Daniel looked away first, embarrassed by the intensity of his own reaction. He took his coffee and sat down, telling himself it was nothing. Emily had moved to Seattle from Vancouver the year before, carrying hope and quiet fear in equal measure. She had left behind a long relationship that ended without anger, but left deep questions. She had learned how to function again, how to work, smile, and meet expectations. But some evenings, like this one, the weight of unfinished feelings returned without warning. She had come to the cafe to sit with those feelings until they passed, as Emily stood to leave. The movement broke Daniel's thoughts. He noticed the light scarf slide from her shoulder and fall silently to the floor. Without thinking, he stood and picked it up. "Excuse me," he said, stepping forward and holding it out. Emily turned, surprised. Then she smiled, soft and genuine. "Thank you," she said. "I didn't even notice." Their fingers almost touched when she took the scarf back. The moment was small, ordinary, but Daniel felt his pulse change. They exchanged names. Daniel introduced himself quickly, afraid that if he said too much, the moment would collapse. Emily nodded, polite but warm. "Nice to meet you," she said. "You too," Daniel replied. That was all. Emily walked toward the door, paused for half a second as if she might turn back, then left. The bell above the door rang once, then went quiet. Daniel stood there longer than necessary. He returned to his seat, staring at the surface of his coffee as it cooled. The cafe felt different now, like something important had passed through it. He tried to focus on his phone, on the sounds around him. But his mind stayed on the window seat. He had always heard about moments like this, the kind people described years later with certainty. He never believed them. Now he did. The realization unsettled him. If a single moment could carry that much weight, then it could also bring disappointment. Daniel had learned to protect himself by expecting little. This felt dangerous. He left the cafe soon after, walking home through the rain. The city looked softer, less rushed. He wondered if Emily felt the same pull, or if it was only his imagination. He told himself not to return the next day. He told himself to forget it. The next evening, he went back anyway. Emily did not appear. Daniel returned the night after that, and the one after. Each time he chose a seat with a clear view of the window, pretending he was just enjoying the atmosphere. The cafe became part of his routine, though nothing happened. After a week, he felt foolish. He decided it was time to stop. That same night, Emily walked in. Daniel saw her the moment she entered. She looked tired, her shoulders slightly tense, but her presence filled the room. She chose the same window seat, set her bag down, and opened a book. Daniel's heart reacted before his mind could catch up. This time, he did not hesitate. "Hi," he said, approaching her table. His voice was calm, but his hands were not. "I was hoping I'd see you again." Emily looked up, surprised. Then she laughed quietly, the sound light but honest. "I was hoping that too," she said, as if admitting something she had tried to ignore. They talked easily, as if the silence between meetings had been waiting to break. They spoke about work, about the weather, about the strange comfort of bookstores. Daniel learned that Emily worked in design, that she missed the ocean air of Vancouver. Emily learned that Daniel had grown up nearby and never planned to leave Seattle, even when it disappointed him. The conversation moved naturally, without effort. Time passed unnoticed. Eventually, Emily mentioned her move, the way everything felt new and uncertain. Daniel listened without interrupting, noticing how carefully she chose her words. He recognized the signs of someone who had learned to be cautious with truth. He shared his own quiet struggles, the feeling of standing still while life moved forward. He did not dramatize it. He simply told the truth. Something settled between them. There was no promise made, no clear direction. Just a sense that this meeting mattered more than chance. When they finally stood to leave, neither wanted to be the first to go. Outside, the rain had stopped. The streetlights reflected off wet pavement, turning the city into a soft blur of color. They stood facing each other, unsure how to end the moment. Emily spoke first. "I'm glad you came back," she said. "So am I," Daniel replied. They exchanged numbers, the act feeling more serious than it should have. Emily hesitated, then said, "I'm not always good at knowing what I want." Daniel nodded. "We don't have to know yet." That answer seemed to ease something in her. She smiled again, the kind that reached her eyes. They walked in opposite directions, both glancing back once before turning the corner. Daniel knew something had begun, though he did not know what shape it would take. He only knew that the stories people told were not exaggerations after all. For the first time in his life, he had seen the real thing, and nothing felt the same anymore. Daniel did not sleep much that night. His mind kept moving, replaying small details he had not noticed before, the way Emily paused before answering questions, the calm in her voice, the tired strength behind her smile. He was not excited in a careless way. He felt alert, as if something meaningful had entered his life and asked him to pay attention. The next few days passed slowly. They exchanged short messages, careful and polite, never too much. Daniel respected the space Emily seemed to need. Emily noticed this and felt grateful. She was used to people rushing, asking for certainty before she could even name her feelings. With Daniel, nothing felt forced. They met again on a Saturday afternoon, this time at a park near the water. The sky was clear but cool. People walked by with coffee cups and dogs, living ordinary lives. Daniel liked that the moment felt normal. Emily liked that she did not feel watched or judged. They walked side by side, talking as they went. Daniel spoke about his childhood, about growing up in the same city and watching it change. Emily shared stories of Vancouver, of foggy mornings and quiet ferries. She spoke honestly about leaving a life that once felt safe, but slowly became empty as she talked. Daniel realized how carefully she held herself together. She did not complain. She did not blame anyone. She simply explained how love can fade without anger, leaving confusion instead of closure. Daniel listened, saying nothing, letting her finish. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt heard. They sat on a bench facing the water. The silence between them was comfortable, not awkward. Daniel wanted to reach out to bridge the space, but he stayed still. He understood that closeness did not always need touch. Emily noticed his restraint. It made her trust him more. Over the next weeks, they met often, sometimes for coffee, sometimes just for a walk. They shared meals without ceremony. They laughed at small things. Daniel learned that Emily loved simple routines but feared emotional expectations. Emily learned that Daniel hid his hopes behind calm logic, afraid of disappointment. Still, something deeper began to grow. One evening, they attended a small reading at the bookstore cafe. They sat close but did not hold hands. When the event ended, the room felt too quiet. Outside, the air was cold, and Emily wrapped her coat tighter around herself. "I need to say something," she said suddenly. Daniel turned to her, attentive. "I like being with you," Emily continued, "but I'm scared of moving too fast. I don't want to promise something I can't give." Daniel took a breath. This was the moment where many people pushed, demanded reassurance. He chose a different path. "I'm not asking for promises," he said. "I just want honesty. If that changes, we talk. That's all." Emily studied his face, searching for hidden expectations. She found none. "Thank you," she said quietly. That night, they parted with a longer pause than usual. Emily walked home feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. She knew she was standing near something important. She also knew she could lose it. Daniel felt the same. A few days later, Emily canceled their plans. Her message was brief, apologetic. Daniel replied with understanding, but the silence afterward stretched longer than expected. His old doubts returned. He reminded himself that fear made people pull away, not disappear. When Emily finally called, her voice sounded distant. "I'm sorry," she said. "I needed time to think." Daniel listened again, steady and patient. Emily explained how being close to him had brought old feelings back, both good and painful. She feared repeating mistakes, feared leaning on someone before she could stand fully on her own. "I don't want to hurt you," she said. Daniel answered honestly. "You won't hurt me by being careful. You would only hurt me by not being real." There was a pause. Then Emily exhaled slowly. "Then I want to keep trying," she said. Slowly. That word mattered to both of them. Their connection deepened in quiet ways. They learned each other's routines, habits, moods. Daniel noticed when Emily needed space and when she needed company. Emily noticed when Daniel tried to hide disappointment behind humor. One evening, during a long walk, Emily stopped and faced him. The street was empty, the city distant. "I think I'm ready to admit something," she said. Daniel waited. "I've always heard people talk about knowing," she continued, "about seeing something real for the first time. I never believed it. Until you." Daniel felt his chest tighten, not with fear this time, but with clarity. "I feel it too," he said. They did not rush forward. They stood there, letting the truth settle. When Daniel finally reached for her hand, Emily did not pull away. The touch was simple, respectful, and full of meaning. Life did not suddenly become perfect. They still had doubts, bad days, and unanswered questions. But something had shifted. They were no longer avoiding the truth of what they felt. Weeks later, as they sat together watching the city lights reflect on the water, Emily rested her head lightly against Daniel's shoulder. It was a quiet gesture, but it said everything. Daniel understood then that love did not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it appeared softly, asking for patience, honesty, and courage. They had both always heard about this feeling. Now they knew, and this time it was real.